Today is the 15th of August, 2025, Friday, and Independence Day in India, in Bharatvash. Independence Day, a proud day for India today. So today we're going to continue with chapter 10. Agyan timirandasya gyananjala shalakaya chakshu unmilitam jena tasmai shri guruve namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadaliye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Shri Caitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Atadinastanam Vrintiya Jagam Vikshe Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padam Boja Dulisham Janma Janmani Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajri Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Katana Rupe, Swabala Sarupe, Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunai Varatanokalo, Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam, Haripurata Sundarata Tikatam Vasadipita, Sada Hridare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha. Yam Prabhajantam Anapetyam Apetya Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Matayo Tarabo Vinedustam Sarvabhutam Vidim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Papana Prinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Paradram Tatoma Manasti Katyana Kapi Tavai Basmi Najivami Tvayivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Mayamam Charantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya-lila Pravishta Om, Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our dear most Nitya-lila Pravishta Om, Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And our dear most Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, and all our divine Rupanuga, Guru Varga, and all the Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to everybody. So we've just completed the 9th chapter, which was describing the trunk and the main branches, Nityananda and Advaita Acharya. And basically this and the understanding that one should take this truth of Mahaprabhu and spread it around the world, that this tree is blossoming of Mahaprabhu's conceptions and must be vigorously planted in all places of the world. And this is what we're seeing is happening today. So we've reached chapter 10. So just to recap, the first chapter is about the spiritual master and his importance. And then understanding that Mahaprabhu is that Swayam Bhagavan. He is substantiated as the Supreme Lord. And then the external reasons for Mahaprabhu's advent, and then the internal reasons for his advent, and then the glories of Nityananda Prabhu, and then the glories of Advaita Acharya, and then in chapter 7, the 5 features of the Panchatattva. And this was basically Mahaprabhu, his heroic act of defeating the 60,000 sannyasis in Varanasi. And then we come to chapter 8, which is a description of how Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami has manifested this literature, or why he has manifested this literature, because he was requested by many Vaishnavas, because they were all reading the Caitanya Bhagavat. But the Caitanya Bhagavat doesn't go to Puri, doesn't describe the final pastimes or Mahaprabhu's ecstasies in Vipralamba in Puri. So they requested, all the Vaishnavas, senior Vaishnavas were requesting Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj to write the rest of Mahaprabhu's pastimes. And finally, Krishnadas Kaviraj, he goes to the deity of Madan Mohan and prays for confirmation for this huge task of enumerating Mahaprabhu's pastimes. And then the garland of Madan Mohan falls, and the Pujari immediately places it over Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj. And all the Vaishnavas who were there at that time proclaim, yes, this is definitely confirmation of what you must do. So this was in the 8th chapter. In the 9th chapter, as I've just said, we've begun to describe this tree, the desired tree, and Mahaprabhu is that tree. And now in chapter 10, all the different personalities are going to be described. Many, many personalities will be described in this chapter. This is a very ecstatic chapter, chapter 10. So it's titled The Trunk, Branches and Sub-Branches of the Chaitanya Tree. The tree is Chaitanya. The devotees are all servants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this chapter describes the branches of the tree named Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 1. Sri Chaitanya Padamboja Madhu Prabhyo Namo Namaha Gathachid Ashraya Dyesham Swapitad Ganda Bhagavat. Translation. Let me repeatedly offer my respectful obeisances unto the bee-like devotees who always taste the honey of the lotus feet of the Lord, of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If even a doggish non-devotee somehow takes shelter of such devotees, he enjoys the aroma of the lotus flower. Purport. The example of a dog is very significant in this connection. A dog naturally does not become a devotee at any time, but still it is sometimes found that a dog of a devotee gradually becomes a devotee also. We have actually seen that a dog has no respect even for the tulsi plant. Indeed, a dog is especially inclined to pass urine on a tulsi plant. Therefore, the dog is the number one non-devotee. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement is so strong that even a dog-like non-devotee can gradually become a devotee by the association of a devotee of Lord Chaitanya. Srila Shivananda Sain, a great householder devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, attracted a dog on the street while going to Jagannath Puri. The dog began to follow him and ultimately went to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and was liberated. Similarly, cats and dogs in the household of Srivas Thakur were also liberated. Cats and dogs and other animals are not expected to become devotees, but in the association of a pure devotee, they are also delivered. I was remembering an example. In Australia, we have a farm where I stayed for a long time, New Govardhan it was called, and when the devotees first went there to take that property, it was 1,000 acres, there was a dog there, and the devotees immediately called the dog Ram, and that dog took nothing except prasadam, and we would often put tilak on the dog. The dog was so well behaved, he would always, in his own way, preach in a very friendly manner to whoever came there. And for many, many years, that dog stayed there and was completely obedient, never went inside the temple, would just roam around. And finally, one day, he just ran inside the temple, right in front of the deities, sat down, and then ran out of the temple again, ran 3 times around, then ran into the forest nearby and left its body. It was quite an amazing dog. His name was Ram. So animals do have their place. They can be attracted, as we're seeing this example of the dog of Shivananda Sen. They sometimes become attracted to the devotees, obviously from some previous birth, some karma is there, but I'm sure other devotees also have examples of dogs or other animals that are influenced greatly by the devotional activities. Text 2.
Jaya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Translation. All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. All glories to Advaita Prabhu and all glories to the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, headed by Srivas. Text 3.
E Malira E Vrikshara Akatya Katana Ebe Suna Mukhya Sakara Nama Vivarana.
Translation. The description of Lord Chaitanya as the gardener and the tree is inconceivable. Now hear with attention about the branches of this tree. Understand all the time that Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj is writing this, he's the instrument and Madan Mohan is the potency that is writing this scripture. Text 4.
Chaitanya Goshanirayata Parisada Chaya Guru Lagu Bhavatamra Nahaya Nishchaya.
Translation. The associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were many, but none of them should be considered lower or higher. This cannot be ascertained. This is a very beautiful appreciation. They all have their specialities, like in this world. We should always see with this eye of Vaishishtya, the unique speciality of everyone, rather than grading people as higher or lower. Text 5.
Yatya Yata Mahanta Kaila Tan Savara Gana Keha Karibara Nare Jesta Lagu Krama.
Translation. All the great personalities in the line of Lord Chaitanya enumerated these devotees, but they could not distinguish between the greater or the lesser. So again, he's saying the same thing. Text 6.
Ataivanan Sabara Kari Namaskara Namamatra Kari Dosha Nalabe Amara.
Translation. I offer my obeisances unto them as a token of respect. I request them not to consider my offenses. So always his mood of humility is running through. Text 7.
Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Premarataro Priyam Sakarupan Bhaktaganam Krishna Prema Phala Pradam.
I offer my obeisances to all the dear devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the eternal tree of love of Godhead. I offer my respects to all the branches of the tree, the devotees of the Lord, who distribute the fruit of love of Krishna. Purport. Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami sets the example of offering obeisances to all the preacher devotees of Lord Chaitanya, without distinction as to higher and lower. Unfortunately, at present, there are many foolish so-called devotees of Lord Chaitanya who make such distinctions. For example, the title Prabhupada is offered to a spiritual master, especially to a distinguished spiritual master, such as Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. When our disciples similarly wanted to address their spiritual master as Prabhupada, some foolish people became envious, not considering the propaganda work of the Hare Krishna movement. Simply because these disciples addressed their spiritual master as Prabhupada, they became so envious that they formed a faction along with other such envious persons, just to minimize the value of the Krishna consciousness movement. This is pure envy. To chastise such fools, Krishnadas Kaviraj very frankly says, Kahi kari bare nare jaista lagu krama. Anyone who is a bona fide preacher of the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must be respectful. to the real devotees of Lord Chaitanya. One should not be envious, considering one preacher to be very great and another to be very lowly. This is a material distinction and has no place on the platform of spiritual activities. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami therefore offers equal respect to all the preachers of the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who are compared to the branches of the tree. ISKCON is one of these branches, and it should therefore be respected by all sincere devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this regard, one senior Prabhupada disciple was telling me that one time in England there was a kirtan, and everybody was glorifying Srila Prabhupada on the Vyasasana. And at that time, Srila Prabhupada was having his head down. And as soon as they glorified Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, immediately his head rose. And he was very, very happy to hear his spiritual master glorified. So always the pure devotee is acknowledging the supremacy of his devotee, of his guru, in any instance. So this is a mark of a pure guru. He was always honoring his guru. So Prabhupada is making this point, and my Guru Dev had said before that all the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are all ISKCON, it's all the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. This is spread across the world. It's not just a sectarian group as we think of it today. We should not think in terms of sectarianism. I've said every day, sectarianism is the greatest opponent of truth, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. Text 8.
Shrivas Pandit Ara Shri Rama Pandita Due Bai Due Saka Jagata Vidate.
The two brothers, Srivas Pandit and Sri Ram Pandit, started two branches that are well known in the world. Purport. In the Gaura Ganadesh Deepika 90, Srivas Pandit, Srivas Thakur, is described as an incarnation of Narada Muni, and Sri Ram Pandit, his younger brother, is said to be an incarnation of Parvat Muni, a great friend of Narad's. Srivas Pandit's wife, Malini, is celebrated as an incarnation of the nurse Ambika, who fed Lord Krishna with her breast milk. And as already noted, his niece, Narayani, the mother of Thakur Vrindavan Das, the author of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, was the sister of Ambika in Krishna Lila. We also understand from the description of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat that after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of the sannyas order, Srivas Pandit left Navadvip, possibly because of feelings of separation, and domiciled in Kurmahata. So it's always described that out of separation, Srivas Thakur left that place, which is next to the Yogpit. That Srivasangam was his place of many pastimes with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when Mahaprabhu leaves Navadvip for the remaining part of his life, the last part of his life, then Srivas Thakur, he returns to his native place of Kurmahata, out of separation from Mahaprabhu. Because when we go to Kurmahata, this is close to the place of Halishwara, which is the Shripat of Ishwarapuri Pad. It's very close to there. Text 9.
Shri Pati Shri Nidhi Tanra Due So Adara Chari Pare Dasa Dasi Griha Parikara.
Translation. Their two brothers were named Shripati and Srinidhi. These four brothers and their servants and maidservants are considered one big branch. I haven't seen an illustration or image of this. I'm sure there must be somewhere. We must hunt for an illustration of this tree. Text 10.
Due Sakara Upasakaya Tan Sabara Ganana Yanra Gahe Mahaprabhu Sada Sankirtana.
Translation. There is no counting the sub-branches of these two branches. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu held congregational chanting daily at the house of Srivas Pandit. So many pastimes. This is where Mahaprabhu showed Srivas Pandit his Nrsingadev form. He showed the universal form to Advaita Acharya and Sita Thakurani here. And all the nocturnal pastimes, the actual Rasa-lila in Navadvip. Navadvip Dham is Gupta Vrindavan. So Navadvip Dham must have the Rasa-lila also. And this is described in the last year of Mahaprabhu's pastimes in Navadvip, when every night they would have their nocturnal kirtans in the house of Srivas Thakur. So this is likened to the Rasa-lila pastimes in Vrindavan. So Srivas Pandit's house is the most sacred place, and we have Srivas Angan right next to the Yog Pit we can visit today. Text 11.
Chari bai savam sekare Caitanya Raseva Gaura Chandra Vina Nahi Jane Deva Deva Devi Deva.
These four brothers and their family members, fully engaged in the service of Lord Chaitanya, they knew no other god or goddess. Purport. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has said, Anye Deva Shraya Nahi Tomara Kainon Bai E Bhakti Parama Karana. If one wants to become a pure, staunch devotee, one should not take shelter of any of the demigods or goddesses. Foolish Mayavadis say that worshipping demigods is as good as worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but that is not a fact. This philosophy misleads people to atheism. One who has no idea of what God actually is thinks that any form he imagines or any rascal he accepts to be God. This acceptance of cheap gods or incarnations of God is actually atheism. It is to be concluded, therefore, that those who worship demigods or self-proclaimed incarnations of God are all atheists. Of course, they're not accepting the truth. They have lost their knowledge, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.20, Karamastatai Hrita Gyan Prapadyante Nya Devata. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods. Unfortunately, those who do not cultivate Krishna consciousness and do not properly understand the Vedic knowledge accept any rascal to be an incarnation of God, and they are of the opinion that one can become an incarnation simply by worshipping a demigod. And they are following those bogus people because they also want to become like those bogus people. So they are all atheists. This philosophy, this philosophical hodgepodge exists under the name of the Hindu religion, but the Krishna consciousness movement does not approve of it. Indeed, we strongly condemn it. Such worship of demigods and so-called incarnations of God should never be confused with the pure Krishna consciousness movement. The heart knows when we're worshipping in a very pure way. The heart, it's described, the mind will know, the heart, the heart will sing, and the soul will celebrate. So it's a direct experience of coming in contact with the truth. When we come in contact with the truth, it's a direct feeling coming from the soul. The soul will acknowledge the truth. When we first came to Krishna consciousness, all of us were touched. That's why we came to Krishna consciousness. So that initial connection, the soul itself is sparked in appreciation of the devotees. So all of us have had the same experience in that sense. Text 12.
Acharya Ratna Namadare Bada Eka Saka Tanra Parikara Tanra Saka Upasaka.
Translation. Another big branch was Acharya Ratna, and his associates were sub-branches. Text 13.
Acharya Ratna Nama Shri Chaitandra Shekara Yanra Gare Deva Bhave Nichala Ishvara.
Translation. Acharya Ratna was also named Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya. In a drama in his house, Lord Chaitanya played the goddess of fortune. Purport. Dramatic performances were enacted during the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the players who took part in such dramas were all pure devotees. No outsiders were allowed. The members of ISKCON should follow this example. Whenever they stage dramatic performances about the lives of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Lord Krishna, the players must be pure devotees. Professional players and dramatic actors have no sense of devotional service, and therefore, although they can perform very artistically, there is no life in such performance. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to refer to such an actor as Yatra Dale Narad, which means farcical Narad. Sometimes an actor in a drama plays the part of Narad Muni, although in his private life he is not at all like Narad Muni, because he is not a devotee. Such actors are not needed in dramatic performances about the lives of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to perform dramas with Advaita Prabhu, Srivas Thakur and other devotees in the house of Chandrasekhar. The place where Chandrasekhar's house was situated is now known as Brajapatna. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur established a branch of his Chaitanya Math at this place. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to accept the renounced order of life, Chandrasekhar Acharya was informed of this by Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and therefore he was present when Lord Chaitanya accepted sannyas from Keshav Bharati in Katwa. It is he who first spread the word in Navadvip of Lord Chaitanya's accepting sannyas. Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya was present during many important incidents in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He therefore forms the second branch of the tree of Lord Chaitanya. Text 14.
Pundarika Vidyanidhi Bada Sakajani Yandra Namalani Prabhu Kandila Apani.
Translation. Pundarik Vidyanidhi, the third big branch, was so dear to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that in his absence, Lord Chaitanya himself would sometimes cry. Purport. In the Gauraganadishtipika 54, Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi is described as the father of Srimati Radharani in Krishna Lila. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore treated him as his father. Pundarik Vidyanidhi's father was known as Baneshwara, or, according to another opinion, Suklamba Brahmachari, and his mother's name was Gangadevi. According to one opinion, Baneshwara was a descendant of Shivaram Gangopadhyaya. The original home of Pundarik Vidyanidhi was in East Bengal, now Bangladesh, in a village near Dhaka named Bagia, which belonged to the Virendra group of Brahmana families. Sometimes these Virendra Brahmanas were at odds with another group known as the Radhiya Brahmanas, and therefore Pundarik Vidyanidhi's family was ostracized and at that time was not living as a respectable family. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anabhasya, one of the members of this family is living in Vrindavan and is named Sarojananda Janananda Goswami. One special characteristic of this family is that each of its members had only one son or no son at all, and therefore the family is not very expansive. There is a place in the district of Chattogram in East Bengal that is known as Hatha Hajaria, and a short distance from this place is a village known as Mekalagram, in which Pundarik Vidyanidhi's forefathers lived. One can approach Mekalagram from Chattogram, either on horseback, by bullock cart, or by steamer. The steamer station is known as Annapurnara Ghat. The birthplace of Pundarik Vidyanidhi is about 2 miles southwest of Annapurnara Ghat. The temple constructed there by Pundarik Vidyanidhi is now very old and much in need of repair. Without repair, the temple may soon crumble. There are 2 inscriptions on the bricks of that temple, but they are so old that one cannot read them. There is another temple, however, about 200 yards south of this one, and some people say that this is the old temple constructed by Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Pundarik Vidyanidhi father and gave him the title Premanidhi Pundarika Vidyanidhi. Pundarik Vidyanidhi later became the spiritual master of Gadadhar Pandit and an intimate friend of Swarup Damodar's. Gadadhar Pandit at first misunderstood Pundarik Vidyanidhi to be an ordinary pounds and shillings man, but later, upon being corrected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became his disciple. Another incident in the life of Pundarik Vidyanidhi involves his criticizing the priest of the Jagannath temple. He criticized the priest because he considered that the cloths that were being offered during the puja were starched, and that this was not pure to have the cloths. After offering the water, then we offer a hanky or a cloth to dry the Lord. So Pundarik Vidyanidhi was saying that these cloths were of starched cloth, and he considered that that was not correct to offer a starched cloth to the Lord. So he was criticizing the priests for this, for which Jagannath Prabhu chastised him personally by slapping his cheeks. This is described in the Caitanya Bhagavat, this pastime. And slapped his cheeks so much that they all swelled up. So that day Pundarik Vidyanidhi would not go in the street, but Swarup Damodar came to see him, why he had not come. And then he saw his cheeks were all swollen. And then Pundarik Vidyanidhi shared with him the pastime of Lord Jagannath coming and slapping his cheeks hard for him committing this aparad towards the servants of Lord Jagannath. This is described in Caitanya Bhagavat, Antya Kand, chapter 7. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati informs us that during his time there were still 2 living descendants of the family of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, who were named Sri Hara Kurma, Srimiti Tirtha, and Sri Krishna Kinkara Vidya Lankara. For further information, one should refer to the dictionary known as Vaishnava Manushya. This Vaishnava Manushya is like an encyclopedia of all the personalities in the Vaishnava line. It's a very extensive compilation. I don't know if it's in English or not. Text 15.
Badasaka Gadadhara Pandita Goshani Teno Lakshmi Rupatanra Samake Hanai.
Translation. Gadadhar Pandit, the 4th branch, is described as an incarnation of the pleasure potency of Sri Krishna. No one, therefore, can equal him. In the Gauraganadishtipika, purport, in the Gauraganadishtipika 147.53, it is stated the pleasure potency of Sri Krishna, formerly known as Vrindavaneshwari, is now personified in the form of Sri Gadadhar Pandit in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami has pointed out that in the shape of Lakshmi, the pleasure potency of Krishna, she was formerly very dear to the Lord as Shamsundari Vallabha. The same Shamsundari Vallabha was present in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes as Gadadhar Pandit. Formerly as Lalita Saki, she was always devoted to Srimati Radhika, Radharani. Thus, Gadadhar Pandit is simultaneously an incarnation of Srimati Radharani and Lalita Saki. Actually, I'd never heard this before when I was reading it last night, or I'd forgotten it. Lalita Saki is most certainly Swarup Damodar. But all the Sakis are manifesting from Sri Radhika's Kaya Vyuha. So it can be seen that Sri Radhika is also a manifestation of Lalita Saki. So it can be understood in that way, that Gadadhar Pandit was a manifestation of Sri Radhika who is the manifester of all the Sakis. So there's no difficulty in understanding that Lalita Saki is simultaneously an incarnation within Srimati Radharani as Lalita Saki. In the 12th chapter of this part of the Caitanya Caritamrta, there is a description of the descendants or displic succession of Gadadhar Pandit. Text 16. Actually, there are many different texts and scriptures, and many of them are still in the Bengali vernacular. And we have some devotees in our group who are going to the different mats and finding these scriptures that have never been translated into Hindi or into English. And there are many of them. And these texts will come out, written by so many devotees in Bengal. And gradually these scriptures will come out onto the market, revealing newer and newer aspects of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life, teachings, and the personalities who followed him, especially in Bengal. In the 12th chapter of this part of the Caitanya Caritamrta, there is a description of the descendants of the distinct succession of Gadadhar Pandit. Text 16.
Tanra Shishya Upa Shishya Tanra Upasaka Emata Saba Saka Upasakara Leka.
Translation. His disciples and grand disciples are his sub-branches. To describe them all would be difficult. It's so merciful and munificent of Krishna's Kaviraj to describe all these personalities. This is giving us the whole tree that was described previously, these branches and sub-branches. It's very wonderful to appreciate all of these personalities following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 17.
Vakreshwara Pandit Prabhu Bada Priya Britya Eka Bhava Kabisha Praha Yanra Nirtya.
Translation. Vakreshwara Pandit, the fifth branch of the tree, was very dear servant of Lord Chaitanya's. He could dance with constant ecstasy for 72 hours. Purport. In the Gaura Ganadeshtipika 71, it is stated that Vakreshwara Pandit was an incarnation of Aniruddha, one of the quadruple expansions of Vishnu, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and Pradumna. He could dance wonderfully for 72 continuous hours. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu played in dramatic performances in the house of Srivas Pandit, Vakreshwara Pandit was one of the chief dancers, and he danced continuously for that length of time. Sri Govindadas, an Oriya devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has described the life of Vakreshwara Pandit in his book Gaura Krishnodaya. There are many disciples of Vakreshwara Pandit in Orissa, and they are known as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, although they are Aryas. Among these disciples are Sri Gopal Guru and his disciple Sri Dayana Chandra Goswami. So we know of these people closely from Jaivadama. In Jaivadama, when Brajanath and Vijay Kumar shift to Puri, they meet Gopal Guru, and they also have exchanges with Dayananda Chandra. So these personalities are described there all the way through the last 14 chapters of Jaivadama. So in other words, we come very close to contact with these personalities. These are all in the house of Kashish Mishra. Kashish Mishra house is the Gambira, where Mahaprabhu stayed in Puri. So Gopal Guru is there, his murti is there today, and Dayana Chandra Goswami, he stayed there after Gopal Guru left this world. Text 18.
Apane Mahaprabhu Gaya Yanra Nritya Kale Prabhu Chandra Dagi Vakreshwara Bale.
Translation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally sang while Vakreshwara Pandit danced, and thus Vakreshwara Pandit fell at the lotus feet of the Lord and spoke as follows. Text 19.
Dashahasra Gandhava More Deha Chandra Mukha Tare Gaya Muni Nakan Tabe Mura Sukha.
Translation. O Chandramukha, please give me 10,000 Gandharvas. Let them sing as I dance, and then I will be greatly happy. Purport. The Gandharvas are the residents of Gandharvaloka. Our residents of Gandharvaloka are celebrated as celestial singers. Whenever singing is needed in the celestial planets, the Gandharvas are invited to sing. The Gandharvas can sing continuously for days, and therefore Vakreshwar Pandit wanted to dance as they sang. Text 20.
Prabhu Bole Tumi Mora Praksha Eka Saka Akashe Uditama Yadi Pane Arapaka.
Lord Chaitanya replied, I have only one wing like you, but if I had another, certainly I would fly in the sky. There's no purport to this, there's no commentary on this, so how do we understand this? Lord Chaitanya is saying, I have only one wing like you. Mahaprabhu is intimating that he is on the same level as Vakreshwar Pandit. He's not saying openly that he's that Supreme Lord and he can have as many wings as he likes. But he's saying, but if I had another, certainly I would fly in the sky. So it's an interesting statement by Mahaprabhu, and I haven't quite figured it out, but others can comment. It would be interesting to hear. I'll read it again. Lord Chaitanya replied, I have only one wing like you, but if I had another, certainly I would fly in the sky. Vakreshwar Pandit is asking for two wings. He's asking for 10,000 Gandharvas to support his dancing. So he's singing like this. Text 21.
Pandita Jagadananda Prabhu Prana Rupa Loka Kyata Hieno Satya Brahma Swarupa.
Pandit Jagadananda, the sixth branch of the Chaitanya tree, was celebrated as the life and soul of the Lord. He is known to have been an incarnation of Satyabhama, one of the chief queens of Lord Krishna. Purport. There are many dealings of Jagadananda Pandit with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Most importantly, he was the Lord's constant companion and especially took part in all the pastimes of the Lord in the houses of Srivas Pandit and Chandrasekhar Acharya. Jagadananda Pandit was Mahaprabhu's childhood friend in Navadvip, and they went to the school of Gangadas together, etc. And Jagadananda was with him from practically his birth. And Jagadananda went with Mahaprabhu and Nityananda to Puri. And it's Jagadananda who breaks the, Nityananda breaks the danda of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and throws it in the river. And Jagadananda tells Mahaprabhu that. So there are many pastimes with Jagadananda in Puri also. And these will be described in Caitanya Caritamrta, but they're not described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So Jagadananda, he also wrote this beautiful book, Sri Prem Vivart, very beautiful book that we have. Text 22.
Pritye korite kahe prabhura lalana palana vairagya loka paya prabhu namen mane kakana.
Translation. Jagadananda Pandit, as an incarnation of Satyabhama, always wanted to see to the comfort of Lord Chaitanya, but since the Lord was a sannyasi, he did not accept the luxuries that Jagadananda Pandit offered. This is the beautiful story of the oil, fragrant oil that Jagadananda carried all the way from Navadvip to Puri, had servants carry it all the way through, and Mahaprabhu rejected it. So Jagadananda, he smashed that pot of oil in the place of Mahaprabhu. So the place of Mahaprabhu became fully fragrant for months with this fragrance of that oil. Text 23.
Due jana katmati lagya kondala tanra prityera kata age kahiba sakala.
Translation. They sometimes appear to fight over trifles, but these quarrels are based on their affection, of which I shall speak later. Text 24.
Raghava Pandit Prabhu Adya Anucharya Chara Tanra Eka Saka Mukhya Makandraja Kara.
Raghava Pandit, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's original follower, is understood to have been the seventh branch. From him proceeded another sub-branch headed by Makara Braj, Kara. Kara was the surname of Makaraj, Makadvaj. At present, his surname is generally found in the Kayashta community. The Sri Gauraganadishtipika states, Danishta Bhaksya Samagrim Krishna Dyad Vraje Mitam Shaiva Sampratam Gauranga Priya Raghava Pandit. Raghava Pandit was formerly a confidential gopi in Braj during the time of Lord Krishna's pastimes, and his former name was Danishta. This gopi Danishta always engaged in preparing foods for the Lord. So we know that Danishta Saki, she's a Saki. She doesn't fall into the category of Priyanam or Preshta Priyanam Sakis. She is the first Saki, and she stays in Nandagaon all the time. And she is responsible for collecting the Krishna's remnants to send to Sri Radhika. And many pastimes with Danishta Saki. She's a very, very prominent Saki. So Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is going to describe more here. Text 25.
Tanhara Bhagine Damayanti Prabhu Priyatasi Prabhu Boga Samagriya Kare Varara Masi.
Raghava Pandit's sister Damayanti was the dear maidservant of the Lord. She always collected various ingredients with which to cook for Lord Chaitanya. Purport. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhasya in the Gauraganadishtipika 167, it is mentioned, Gunamala Braje Yasid Damayanti Tu Tat Svasa. The gopi named Gunamala appeared as Raghava Pandit's sister Damayanti. On the East Bengal railway line, beginning from the Shelda station in Calcutta, there is a station named Sodapur, which is not very far from Calcutta. Within 1 mile of this station towards the western side of the Ganges is a village known as Panihati, in which the residential quarters of Raghava Pandit still exist. On Raghava Pandit's tomb is a creeper on a concrete platform. There is also the modern Mohan deity in a broken down temple nearby. This temple is managed by a local zamindar by the name of Shiva Chandra Raya Chaudhary. Sri Makand Raj Kara is also an inhabitant of Panihati, so we can go there today. It's very accessible and it's very nicely kept place of Raghava Pandit and his sister Damayanti, where she makes these bags called Raghavar Jali, which we'll talk about, of foodstuffs for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So of course this is where Nityananda stays before he goes to perform his pastime on the bank of the Ganga, the Panihati Mahotsav with Raghunath Das. So all of this is located very close to Kolkata, just across the Ganges. Text 26.
Se Sava Samagriyata Jalite Bariya Raghaval Laiya Yana Gupta Kariya.
Translation. The foods Damayanti cooked for Lord Chaitanya when he was at Puri were carried in bags by her brother Raghava without the knowledge of others. Text 27.
Varamasha Tanha Prabhu Karina Angikara Raghava Jali Bale Pasidi Yahara.
The Lord accepted these foods throughout the entire year. Those bags are still celebrated as Raghavera Jali, the bags of Raghava Pandit. and these will be described later on. Text 28.
Esaba samagri age kariba vistara yahar shravane bhaktera vahe ashrudara.
Translation. I shall describe the contents of the bags of Raghava Pandit later in this book. Hearing this narration, devotees generally cry and tears glide down from their eyes. Purport. A vivid description of these Raghava Jali is to be found in chapter 10 of the Adi-lila portion of Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. Text 29.
Prabhura atyanta priya pandita gangadasa yanhara smarane hoya sarva bandha nasha.
Pandit Gangadas was the 8th dear branch of the tree of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One who remembers his activities attains freedom from all bondage. Text 30.
Chaitanya prasada Sri Acharya Purandara Pitakari Yanrabale Gauranga Sundara.
Translation. Sri Acharya Purandara, the 9th branch, was a constant associate of Lord Chaitanya's. The Lord accepted him as his father. All of these personalities are not ordinary personalities. They're either Nityasiddha Parikars or they're coming from Swagaloka, the higher planets, but they're not ordinary personalities, none of them. Purport. It is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that whenever Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the house of Raghava Pandit, he also visited Purandara Acharyas immediately upon receiving an invitation. Purandara Acharya is to be considered the most fortunate because the Lord used to greet him by addressing him as his father and embracing him in great love. Text 31.
Damodara Pandit Saka Premite Prachanda Prabhu Uparai Yanhe Kaile Vakya Danda.
Damodar Pandit, the 10th branch of the Chaitanya tree, was so elevated in love of Lord Chaitanya that he once unhesitatingly chastised the Lord with strong words. You remember the pastime when a Brahmin widow had a very beautiful young son, and the young son became very attracted to spending time with Mahaprabhu. And he would come daily in the Gambhira to be with Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu favored him, giving him prasadam, etc., speaking with him. But Damodar Pandit could not tolerate this because this young boy's mother was a very attractive widow Brahmani. And Damodar Pandit would consider that people would gossip about Mahaprabhu's connection with this young boy because his mother was so attractive. So he didn't want any blemish on the character of Mahaprabhu. And he chastised him actually strongly. And Mahaprabhu, a few days later, requests Damodar Pandit that actually he should go and see his mother in Navadvip and take some prasad to her. In other words, he dismissed him. And Damodar Pandit is Saiba, Chandrabali's Sakhi in Krishna Lila. Later in Caitanya Caritamrta, I shall describe this incident of chastisement in detail. The Lord, being very much satisfied by this chastisement, sent Damodar Pandit to Navadvip. Damodar Pandit, who was formerly known as Saibya in Braja Dham, used to carry messages from Lord Chaitanya to Sachimata, and during the Ratha Yatra festival, he carried messages from Sachimata to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So these are the wonderful dealings of the devotees in Puri. Text 33.
Tanhara Anuja Saka Sankara Pandita Prabhu Pado Padana Yanra Nama Vidita.
The 11th branch, the younger brother of Damodar Pandit, was known as Sankara Pandit. He was celebrated as the shoes of the Lord. And this personality is Bhadra Gopi in Krishna Lila. So all these personalities They're all Nitya Siddhiparikas, coming from Krishna Lila to Gaura Lila to support Mahaprabhu's movement and activities here. Text 34.
Sadashiva Pandit Yanra Prabhupada Ash Pratame Nityanandara Yanra Gare Vash Vasa.
Sadashiva Pandit, the 12th branch, was always eager to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. It was his good fortune that when Lord Nityananda came to Navadvip, he resided at his home. Purport. It is mentioned in Caitanya Bhagavat, Antyakand, chapter 9, that Sadashiva Pandit was a pure devotee and that Nityananda Prabhu resided at his house. You can see Shivananda Pandit's house today, just north of Panihati. It's quite close in the same area, just before you come to Kolkata. The house of Sadashiva Pandit is quite well maintained and in good standing, and devotees can go and take the dust from that place today. Text 35.
Shri Nashinga Upasaka Pradyuma Brahmachari Prabhu Tandra Nama Kaili Nrishingananda Kari.
The 13th branch was Pradumna Brahmachari. Since he was a worshipper of Lord Nrsingadev, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed his name to Nrsingananda Brahmachari. Purport. Pradumna Brahmachari is described in the Adi-lila 2nd chapter of Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. He was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya who changed his name to Nrsingananda. While coming from the house of Raghava Pandit at Panihati to the house of Shivananda, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the heart of Nrsingananda Brahmachari. To acknowledge this, Nrsingananda Brahmachari used to accept as edibles the food of 3 deities, namely Jagannath, Nrsingadev, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is stated in the Caitanya Caritamrta Adi-lila 2nd chapter, verse 48 through 78. Upon receiving information that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was proceeding towards Vrindavan from Kulia, Nrsingananda absorbed himself in meditation and by his mental activities began constructing a very nice road from Kulia to Vrindavan. All of a sudden, however, he broke his meditation and told the other devotees that this time Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not go to Vrindavan, but would travel only as far as the place known as Kanai Natashala. This is described in Madhya Lila, chapter 1, verses 155 through 162. The Gaura Ganadhesh Deepika 74 says, Aveshash te cha tatagneyo mishre pradumna samnake. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed the name of Pradumna Mishra or Pradumna Brahmachari to Nrsingananda Brahmachari, for in his heart Lord Nrsingadev was manifest. It is said that Lord Nrsingadev used to talk with him directly. I think it's very merciful of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to give us all these exact quotes of where these references are. Some of these are coming from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, has done the same. He's also made all these references very easily accessible for us, so we can study this scripture and go straight to the places where they're referenced, the pastimes are being referenced. Text 36.
Narayan Pandit Ekabadi I Udara Chaitanya Charana Vinu Nahi Jana Ara.
Narayan Pandit, the 14th branch, a great and liberal devotee, did not know any shelter but Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. Purport. Narayan Pandit was one of the associates of Srivas Thakur. It is mentioned in the Caitanya Bhagavat, Antyakand, 8th chapter, verse 36, that he went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri with the Thakur's brother, Sri Ram Pandit. Text 37.
Shriman Pandit Saka Prabhu Nija Britya Dyute Dharane Yabe Prabhu Korina Nritya
Translation. The 15th branch was Sriman Pandit, who was a constant servitor of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He used to carry a torch while the Lord danced. Purport. Sriman Pandit was among the companions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when the Lord performed Sankirtan. When Lord Chaitanya danced himself in the form of the goddess Lakshmi and danced in the streets of Navadvip, Sriman Pandit carried a torch to light the way. Text 38. Shuklambar Brahmachari Bada Bhagavan Yandra Ana Magi Kadi Koile Bhagavan. Translation. The 16th branch, Sukalambara Brahmachari, was very fortunate because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu jokingly or seriously begged food from him, or sometimes snatched him from him forcibly and ate it. Purport. It is stated that Sukalambara Brahmachari, an inhabitant of Navadvip, was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first companion in the Sankirtan movement. When Lord Chaitanya returned from Gaya after initiation, he stayed with Sukalambara Brahmachari because he wanted to hear from this devotee about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Sukalambara Brahmachari collected alms of rice from the inhabitants of Navadvip, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took pleasure in eating the rice that he cooked. It is said that Sukalambara Brahmachari was one of the wives of the Yagnik Brahmanas during the time of Lord Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. The Lord begged food from the wives of the Yagnik Brahmanas, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed a similar pastime by begging rice from Sukalambara Brahmachari. Text 39. Nandananacharya Saka Jagata Vidite Lokaiya Due Prabhu Yandra Gare Stita. Nandanacharya, the 17th branch of the Caitanya tree, is celebrated within the world because the two Prabhus, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, sometimes hid in his house. Purport. Nandanacharya was another companion of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his kirtan pastimes in Navadvip. Srila Nityananda Prabhu, as Abadut, travelled on many pilgrimages, and when he first came to Sri Navadvip Dham, he remained hidden in the house of Nandanacharya. It is there that he first met all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his Mahaprakash, he asked Ramai Pandit to call Advaita Prabhu, who was hiding in the home of Nandanacharya, for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that he was hiding. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya also sometimes hid in the home of Nandanacharya. In this connection, one may refer to Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kand, chapter 6 and 17. So, when Nityananda first came, he stayed incognito in the house of Nandanacharya. And Mahaprabhu, knowing he was there, he sent out Haridas and the other devotees to search for this great personality. He was saying a great personality has arrived, and they searched everywhere, they couldn't find him. And they returned, and then finally Mahaprabhu, with all the disciples, the devotees, he went straight to the house of Nandanacharya, and there was an incredible meeting between Nityananda and Mahaprabhu in that house. And that's celebrated today. There's a mutt there, and that place is celebrated as the meeting of Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And also Advaita Acharya, when he was being requested by Ramai Pandit to come and see Mahaprabhu's full Swarup. Mahaprabhu was sending the message, I have come. That person you've called so loudly, I have now come. And I'm in the house of Srivas Thakur. Come with Sita Thakurani and bring all the objects for my worship. And at that time, Advaita Acharya still had a doubt that this might not be that person. So he hid in the house of Nandanacharya, which is close by, to see what the Lord would do. When Ramai came back and said that Advaita Acharya is not coming, then Mahaprabhu immediately knew told Ramai Pandit, you immediately go to the house of Nandanacharya. Advaita Acharya is hiding there. You tell him to come straight away. So then Advaita Acharya understood, yes, this is that Lord. He is omniscient. Then he came with his wife, Sita Thakurani, and they brought the objects for puja, and he saw this enormous display of the universal form, because this is what Advaita Acharya wanted to see in his heart. He wanted this Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu. He's calling Lord Narayan. He wants to confirm that this is Lord Narayan. So the universal form of Mahaprabhu manifested for the satisfaction of Advaita Acharya. And it's described in Caitanya Bhagavat that the sky was completely filled with opulent personalities. There were all the devas were there, all the entire universal form was there. And Advaita Acharya was totally overwhelmed. A very, very beautiful description in the Caitanya Bhagavat of this. And this, I think, is in the Madhya Kand, chapter 6 and chapter 17 of these two pastimes, very beautiful pastimes. So I'll leave it here for today, and tomorrow, or on Monday, we'll discuss Mukunda Datta and all the other devotees. So this is very ecstatic. This chapter is quite lengthy. There are many verses in this chapter. It goes right up to, there are 164 verses in this chapter. So this is very ecstatic chapter, describing all these different personalities. So Sri Caitanya Caritamrta Ki Jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Sachinandan Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Hari Bol. So tomorrow, of course, is Sri Krishna Janmastami, and we fast all day until midnight. There's actually a description in one of the Puranas, I'm not sure which one it is, I think it's the Padma Purana, which is saying that if you take anything, it's like eating meat on this holy day of Krishna's appearance day. Once in the year, we follow this full day fast until midnight, where we break it with Ekadashi preparations, and we break the fast fully at sunrise the next morning. So my Gurudev has always requested us regularly that on this day to read from the 10th canto, read the chapters about Krishna's appearance, 10th canto, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I think. These chapters here, right at the beginning of the 10th canto. We can read these chapters tomorrow and remember the appearance of, or the manifestation of Krishna in Mathura and the birth of Krishna in Vrindavan. So these two pastimes will be described by so many people tomorrow. His manifestation from the womb of Devaki in Mathura as a 16-year-old youth, and then Devaki requesting him to please become small, so she imagines she can hide him, knowing Kamsa's wrath. Kamsa has already killed 6 of her sons previously. So Devaki is in no illusion about the murderous nature of her so-called brother. So she requests him to become
like a tiny baby and imagines she can find him, but the guards, they hear and, oh no, of course, this is the first. Then Vasudeva, the father, he takes the baby in a basket, and the doors of that prison house just open up by themselves, and then Vasudeva crosses the Jamuna, which is in flood at that time. It's the end of the rainy season, and deposits Mathuresh Krishna on the bed of Mother Yashoda, who immediately merges into the body of Prachendranandan, Shyam Sundar, which is the original Swayam Bhagavan, manifesting from the womb directly of Yashoda Ma, because they perform the umbilical cord ceremony, the Jati Sanskar that Jiva Goswami is describing. Even though there is no umbilical cord, it's like a lotus flower, but still that sanskar takes place. So this we celebrate with great joy and festivity tomorrow, and the highest way to offer our worship is by performing, of course, some austerity. And our austerity is to fast all day. You can either do nijal or not, depending on your bodily health and so on. But we don't break until midnight. And the devotees should attempt to always honor Lord Krishna in this way. So Sri Krishna Janmastami Ki Jai. And then the following day is Nandotsav, the appearance of Nanda Baba in Vrindavan, or this is when it's celebrating Krishna's appearance in Vrindavan on this second day. And also on Sunday will be the appearance day of our beloved Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. So a packed weekend we have in front of us. Krishna and Krishna's birth, and then his celebration in Vrindavan, which will be on Sunday, Nandotsav, and then the appearance of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, which miraculously took place at this very day. So we celebrate these days with great happiness and joy tomorrow. Shri Krishna Janmastami Ki Jai, Shri Nandotsava Ki Jai, Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Abhirbhav Ki Jai, Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvyavcha, Patitanam Pavnivyo, Vaishnavibhyo, Namo Namaha.